Hello everyone, welcome to Literature with Rachna. Today we will study Unit 6, Chapter Brown Wolf, written by Jack London. Jack London was an American author and journalist known for his adventure stories. He explored several regions and their cultures in his stories and wrote about life and death. Hope you are understanding it. It's very simple. His adventure stories are based on his own experiences. Where experiences? Which experiences? Which he has gained at sea, in Alaska, and in the fields and factories of California. So based on these experiences, he has written so many adventure stories. Let me move on to this chapter, Brown Wolf. They called him Wolf. What dog they are talking about? The story is on which character they called him Wolf. In build and coat, he was a huge timber. Why they called him Wolf? That reason is given. Because in build and coat, he was a huge timber wolf. He was looking like a wolf. But in his color, he advertised himself as a dog. Advertised himself as a dog means the color clearly showed that he was a dog. So otherwise no one can recognize that he is a dog. Just because of its color we can understand. No wolf was ever colored like him. He was brown, deep brown, red brown, a mixture of browns. So many brown color shades are described here. And his eyes were twin topazes, golden and brown. So eyes, how the eyes were? Eyes were like topazes. Topazes means clear yellow, semi-precious stone type, and golden and brown. Let me move on to the next paragraph. Walt Erwin and Madge loved the dog very much. Perhaps why? Perhaps this was because it had been such a difficult task to win his love. So here Walt Erwin and Madge, these two characters are introduced after the dog. They only gave the dog the name Wolf. So they loved the dog very much. When he had arrived at their mountain cottage from nowhere. Nowhere means they also did not know where it came from, the dog came from, and where from anywhere he came at their mountain cottage. He had proved to be very unsociable. He was not so friendly. Unsociable means in this textbook it is given not liking to meet people or interact with them. It means he was not fond of talking to people, loving them. He had resented all their advances and had refused to let them touch him. He was rejecting what all efforts they were doing to make him closer to them. He was refusing all the efforts, even not allowing them to touch. Nevertheless, he had stayed, even though he was not letting them touch and not appreciating their efforts. Then also he had stayed there as he was tired and famished. Famished means hungry. Because he was tired and famished, he stayed at home at their cottage. But when he had recovered, he simply disappeared. When he found himself recovered, he disappeared. He went away from the cottage. Let me move on to the next paragraph. And this would have been the end of him if Walt had not spotted him along the railway line. So when he disappeared, Walt went and searched for him, and where he was found near the railway lines. And that's luckily that Walt found, otherwise he may die, and brought him back to the cottage. Walt then got a metal plate made on which was written. He bought a metal plate on which what was written? Return to Walt Erwin, Glen Ellen, Sonoma County, California, and attached it to a collar strapped about the dog's neck. Okay, what dog's neck we put a collar strap now, and that it was written. The plate was attached to the strapped, and the address was written in it, so that if anyone can get, he can return it. So every time if he disappeared, he was caught and returned. So this is a great idea that Walt did. Let me move on to the last paragraph of this page, page number 1. The remarkable thing about this disappearing was that every time he fled, he went north. Okay, then what was the main thing? That whenever he was trying to run, he was trying towards north side. Something was there north side. And what was that? Homing instinct was what Walt thought about it. Walt was noticing that every time when he is running towards north. And the reason for this is he thought homing instinct. Homing instinct means a natural feeling that takes animals or birds to their homes or original living places. Perhaps he was living towards north side. That's why he was running towards north whenever he was trying to run. Let me move on to the next page. After a fertile year of many flights, he decided to remain at the cottage. He tried so many times to run away from cottage, but he was failed, and that's why he decided to remain at the cottage. But even after that, a long time went by before Walt and Madge succeeded in getting close to him. Okay, the dog was there, only remained there at the cottage, and they were only feeding, they were playing, they were sitting all the time, they were with the dogs. That's why they succeeded in getting close to him. And it was a great victory also. Why that's a great victory? For they alone were allowed to touch him. No one else can touch. And if anyone else tried, they were greeted with an angry growl. Growl means kind of sound. Okay, growl means like that sound he was creating and making everyone afraid of, and not allowing anyone to touch. That would turn into a frightening snarl also sometimes. Okay, snarl, the sound, same sound, and snarling was all the sound he made. He was only snarling, not barking anytime. No one had ever heard him bark even once. So this was your paragraph. Let me move on to the paragraph number 6, and it is: as Walt and Madge walked along the country road one morning. Okay, now it is the time one morning when Walt and Madge were walking, went for a walk along the country road. Then what happened? With the wolf trailed behind. Wolf was also following them. They heard a crunching of heavy feet. Crunching is a sound, okay, weird sound they heard. And which sound it is? Heavy feet sound. A few minutes later, what happened? A man came into view around the turn of the trail. They met with the men. Trail means a path, okay? Trail means path. In your book, it is given a path through the countryside. So here trail means a path through the countryside. So they met a man there. Warm day, Walt greeted him. Okay, Walt greeted the man. Warm day. The man paused and nodded. Just he moved his head. I guess I haven't used much to the warm, he said. Okay, he's telling, okay, this is okay for me because actually this is common for him. It's nothing for him. Half apologetically, I am more accustomed to zero weather. Why it was like warm is so natural to him? Because he was used to live in a zero weather. North Pole side we have much cold place, and that's why he's telling that I accustomed to zero weather, and that's why. You don't find any of that in this country. Walt laughed. So he made fun. Walt made fun of him and said that you don't find anyone of that kind of person in this country, because this is a separate, different kind of atmosphere you can get here. Next line is, should say not. He's telling, no, you should not say like that. The man answered, and I ain't here a looking for it either. He's searching for the same. Why? Maybe you know where she lives. Her name's Johnson, Mrs. William Johnson. Now he's searching for a lady called William Johnson, and he's asking the same from them, Walt and Madge. You are not her Clondiker brother, Madge cried, her eyes bright with interest, about whom we have heard so much. Now, with this dialogue, we can well understood that now Madge knew that whom the person is talking about. He is talking about William Johnson, and Madge knew her. So she's telling that you are not her Clondiker brother. Clondiker brother means, Clondiker meaning is it is given, is a region in northwestern Canada. Okay, so he's telling that you are not her Clondiker brother. Madge cried while speaking this, and her eyes bright with interest. And she's telling about whom we have heard so much, means William Johnson often talked about her brother. He only. Yes, Sam, that's me. He answered, my name's Miller, Skiff Miller. Now he is introducing himself, like, who am I? What's my name? Skiff Miller. I just thought I'd surprise her. Now he's talking to Madge and telling that I was planning to surprise my sister. You are on the right track then. Madge pointed down the hill. Take the little trail turning off to the right. It's the shortcut to her house. You can't miss it. In this paragraph, she is telling the direction of William Johnson's house. Let me move to the next paragraph. Yes, thank you, ma'am, he said. It was at the juncture that Wolf, who had been walking a little away from them, nosing through the bushes, trotted into view. Now what happened when they were talking about and the man was just about to leave the place? At that time, at this juncture means at that point of time, the wolf who had been walking a little away from them, he was nosing through the bushes, smelling through the bushes, and he looked, trotted. Trotted means walked with the quick steps, because he was smelling something knowingly, and something known smell, it was smelling, and then he trotted into view, quickly came up. Skiff Miller saw the dog, and a look of great wonder came into his face. He also saw the dog peeping out from the bushes, and when he saw, he was wondered. He was wondered watching the dog. Let's see what is there. Well, well, he said slowly. At the sound of his voice, Wolf's ear flattened down and his mouth opened in a laugh. He was happy. Wolf was happy listening the voice. He trotted up to the stranger. Quickly he came near to the stranger and first smelled his hands, then licked them with his tongue. Okay, he was just smelling and then licking the hands of the man. Madge was amazed. She was amazed. We never saw Wolf make up to a stranger before. Now, this is the dialogue spoken by Madge to the man. And she's telling that I never saw a wolf, our dog, make up to a stranger before. Make up to means to be pleasant and friendly, because the dog never allowed anyone to touch. And the first time they also noticed then that wolf is letting the man touch, and the dog also licking his hands. So this is your explanation of page number 1 and 2. Hope you understood it. Keep watching. Bye bye.